Suddenly, very bright flash and big sound attacked us. Suddenly, it began to rain, black rain.
This field was plainly cluttered. The sheer destruction and the heat wave, shock wave, everything is burnt.
تجربة لشعب عاش مأساة ما عاشها قبله أي شعب في العالم.
The same kind of inhumane things that's happening around the world, including like Syria with the chemical bombing.
Hiroshima was able to reconstruct a very remarkable city called the City of Peace.
There can be no peace in the world until the military power of Japan is destroyed. We have no desire or intention to destroy or enslave the Japanese people, but only surrender can prevent the kind of ruin which they have seen come to Germany as a result of continued useless resistance.
أرادت أمريكا إنهاء الحرب مع اليابان بسرعة لتجنب الخسائر المتزايدة في صفوفها والحد من تقدم الاتحاد السوفيتي، ولأسباب تصفها بالتكتيكية ألقت القنبلة الذرية على هيروشيما في هجمة نووية هي الأولى من نوعها في تاريخ البشرية.
أي إنسان بيسمع كلمة مدينة هيروشيما، سواء كان في المنطقة العربية عنا أو حول العالم، بيرتبط بذهنه مباشرة الانفجار اللي بشكل فطر أو فطري اللي غطته الميديا لفترة طويلة. فهذا المزروع في رأسنا، ومزروع بأنه هي مدينة سويت بالأرض، ولكن الانطباع فيما بعد ذلك كيف أصبحت المدينة بعد فترة 7 عقود.
There are rightful politicians who try to overcome many obstacles to achieve some kind of reconciliation between enemies. But it doesn't mean that the entire population were persuaded by the government approach. And there are many people who are very unhappy about this kind of approach, even if they were persuaded in terms of the logic of necessity to get along with Americans. Psychologically, they were extremely unhappy. And then there were still some people who talked about the possibility of revenge throughout Japan, even in Hiroshima. So very gradually, they had to settle their psychological mindset. I would say for 3 decades, 4 decades, there are always some people who wanted to talk about how to take revenge against Americans. It is true.
It is my earnest hope, and indeed the hope of all mankind, that from this solemn occasion a better world shall emerge out of the blood and carnage of the past, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice.
And my father and elder sister died in the atomic bombing. My mother searching for them until quickly until the almost end of August, but she never find them. So, and at that time, my mother pregnant with me, 2-month baby in my mother womb. Fortunately, I'm very well, but I have been worried about my heart caused by radiation. Yes.
I was born Kure City, away 10 kilometers from Hiroshima city. Suddenly, very bright flash and big sound attacked us. She covered me with her body suddenly. My father passed away 6 days later with acute radiative damage. My mother had to cut her right side breast with breast cancer. My elder sister passed away with lung cancer, which spread all over her body. Her pain is very serious.
My grandmother is one of the survivors of Hiroshima, but she wasn't in the city at the time. She entered into the city 10 days after the bombing, and she exposed to the radiation. We call Hibakusha, the survivor of atomic bomb, like her people. And she never told me about her story. She was 19 at the time. She must remember many things, but she says she doesn't remember anything. So whenever I ask her questions about when she entered the city, how was the city like, and what kind of people she saw, what kind of people she talked to, she never told me those kind of stories. She says she doesn't remember, and maybe she really doesn't remember, but maybe she covered her memories because of the sadness, or I don't know, terrified, or this is just my guess, so I don't really know. But there are many, many other survivors who don't share their stories in Hiroshima as well.
بعد أسابيع من كارثة هيروشيما جراء الانشطار النووي الهائل الذي خلف آلاف الضحايا ودمارا كبيرا، انتهت الحرب العالمية الثانية. وسرت شائعة أنه لن ينمو شيء في هيروشيما لمدة 75 عاما، ولكن أزهار القنا الحمراء كانت أول من نبت في الأنقاض المتفحمة، وكانت مصدرا هائلا للأمل. بدأ الناس يجمعون المواد التي لم تحترق ويستخدمونها لبناء بيوتهم في تجمعات سكنية غير مرخصة حول نهر أودى. الأطباء 28 الناجون من القنبلة شكلوا فرقا في الشوارع والمعابد لإسعاف المتضررين. ومن تحت الأنقاض جمع المعلمون مدرسة حتى أقاموا أول حصة مدرسية في فصل بلا سقف في نيسان أبريل عام 1946.
Japanese people were so much devastated during the war, after the war. So simply they did not want to have another war, that's for sure. And they blamed the wartime leaders, especially military leaders, who were irresponsible for handling national policies.
شهد المجتمع الياباني تغييرات مهمة وملفتة خلال تلك الفترة على مستوى العالم، فقد خرج الاقتصاد الياباني المنهار بسرعة من تحت رماد الحرب العالمية الثانية. خلال فترة التعافي التي امتدت بين عامي 1945 و 1956 ارتفع الناتج المحلي الإجمالي للفرد، وتلا التعافي فترة النمو السريع، وبدأت اليابان الاقتراب من الغرب مرة أخرى وبسرعة تجاوزت مستوى التقدم ما قبل الحرب العالمية الثانية.
مجرد مقارنة أو زيارة بسيطة لمتحف السلام في هيروشيما حتى تأخذ صورة الدمار الهائل اللي أصاب المدينة. خروجك من متحف السلام إلى المدينة في نفسها والنظر إليها بشكل حي بيعمل بذهنك ارتباط بين الماضي، بين الكارثة، وبين ما هي عليه المدينة الآن. هذا الارتباط بإمكانه يعطيك خلاصة تجربة لشعب عاش مأساة ما عاشها قبله أي شعب في العالم.
Some excellent political leaders, including the first democratically elected mayor of Hiroshima called Mr. Hamai. He had a vision. He was so determined to navigate the city in the direction of making it the city of peace.
We cannot stop war and conflict except change economic and political system all over the world, because many people worked at military industry all over the world and get money with producing weapons. Please produce material or service which are comfortable and useful for mankind. I hope for future generation. Our generation, unfortunately, polluted with many materials.
This city, this park as it is now, is just actually it was a lively urban town full of livelihood, but everybody sort of instantly disappeared. It was such a inhumane things, and it's the same kind of inhumane things that's happening around the world, including like Syria.
It was very difficult for the government to decide on the range of the official survivors. Like within the 5 kilometers, if they suffered from the atomic bomb, they should be recognized as official survivors, but outside of this sphere, blah, blah, blah. There are some regulations. But there are some more people that they did not suffer from the atomic bomb on the day, though they dared to save lives in the city, so they came to the city the day after, and then as a result, they suffered from radioactivity. And so there are many complicated issues.
وقفت اليابان على قدميها فيما يشبه المعجزة، فهي الدولة الوحيدة التي ضربت بقنبلتين ذريتين ونجت وداوت جراحها. مع انتهاء الحرب انهارت سندات البنوك اليابانية التي كانت عبارة عن بنوك للحرب وصناعة الأسلحة. عندها تحرك البنك المركزي الياباني لشراء السندات الضعيفة بأموال جديدة، والتي بدورها ضخت الدماء والحياة في عروق الاقتصاد. وفي خطوة لتجنب احتجاجات الفلاحين التي كانت مدعومة من الشيوعيين في الصين، نقل المجلس العسكري في اليابان ملكية الأراضي من الإقطاعيين إلى الفلاحين.
Actually, many people left Hiroshima and never came back, even hiding the fact that they were from Hiroshima because of the fear of the discrimination. And there are always some people who were determined to keep the land of ancestors in order to show the pride to colleagues in the national society as well as former enemies like Americans. Look at us. We are not defeated in terms of our future.
فوجدت بأنه بعد الكارثة عمليا سواء الحراك الشعبي اللي صار للتخفيف من آثار الأزمة أو فيما بعد القوانين اللي أتت من الحكومة المركزية هي لم تفرق بين ياباني أو أجنبي مقيم، فعومل الجميع كمتضررين على سوية واحدة من الكارثة، وبالتالي قدم إليهم الدعم بشكل متوازي.
As a journalist, I have covered many conflict zones. I've witnessed many victims of war, horrible stories, bloody wars. Unfortunately, it's all over the world, and that victimhood is something we can relate from Hiroshima. So we could overcome hatred. We hate wars, we hate weapons, nuclear weapons, but we didn't hate Americans anymore. So, and the reconstruction of this city as of now was made possible through this sort of reconciliation.
Why do we come to this place, to Hiroshima? We come to ponder a terrible force unleashed in a not so distant past. The scientific revolution that led to the splitting of an atom requires a moral revolution as well. Ordinary people understand this, I think. They do not want more war. They would rather that the wonders of science be focused on improving life and not eliminating it. The world was forever changed here. But today, the children of this city will go through their day in peace.
Because of this recognition of great efforts, sufferings, pride, now few people dream of revenge against Americans. Rather, they want to continue to let Americans recognize the great achievement of Hiroshima, which is the source of pride, more important than revenge now. And so, in this way, we need to construct the process of reconciliation or mutual trust. So in this way, as a matter of reconstruction, reconciliation, transformation of the identity of the city, I think that Hiroshima provides many good lessons.
ولكن الإيحاء اللي أنت بإمكانك تأخذه من هذه التجربة بأنه مهما كانت الكارثة قاسية ومهما كانت الدمار شامل. تبقى تجربة هيروشيما درس بأنه الأمل دائما موجود، والعودة إلى ما كنت عليه بل أفضل هو ممكن بتكافل المجتمع فيما بينه. هذا ما تحتاجه حتى تعود إلى ما كنت عليه، وهذه رسالة واضحة من مدينة هيروشيما لكل العالم عند زيارتها.
One thing I can say is Hiroshima do not forget. We still hold the past. What happened 70, 60 years ago, and we don't forget. We try to remember past as it is, and that's the sort of the universal thing. You have to remember the past, and then the sort of the reconciliation and the overcoming can happen on the base of the correct recognition of the past. This was a sort of a reinforced, concreted structure. The basic structure remains, but as you can see, the dome was burnt and was half remain, but it kept on purpose as for the people. It's sort of it's a symbol of a remembrance.
بالنظر إلى حجم الدمار وقصص الألم في هيروشيما، فإن خروجها من بين الركام وما حققته من إنجازات وتطور في سنوات معدودة جعلها مثالا للوعي بأهمية السلام، بدلا من أن تكون دافعا للانتقام، لتطوى الهوية القديمة في سجل التاريخ البعيد لهيروشيما عاصمة الحرب، وتظهر الهوية الجديدة لمدينة السلام والنهضة الاقتصادية المستمرة.